Well, since Wednesday is the first day of fall, I thought we'd take a look at our autumn garden. And you can see that it is really looking nice right now. And we've got some plants in here that'll carry us even through the frost. We've got our Dusty Miller already in here, and it will withstand frost very well. Our sun Coleus has looked very pretty for us all summer long. However, once we get some hard freezes, this will be gone. However, what we can do is come in and put some ornamental kale or cabbage in there in the next few weeks, and that'll carry that spot clear through autumn for us. Now, one plant that's looking extremely good right now and going to have some great bloom is our Mexican bush sage. This is Salvia leucantha, and it has a nice spiked bloom, and you can see they're actually fuzzy purple flowers on here. Now, this is a great bee plant, so if you've got this plant somewhere in your garden, it's probably not going to be someplace like next to a gate where you're going to be passing a lot, because the bees will absolutely cluster on this plant. Now, one of the plants that we showed you earlier that had such a nice bloom on it has not withstood the heat quite so well, and that's the Patrinia. And you can see here it's still blooming for us. It has a very nice sulfur yellow bloom. However, as you look at the foliage has not survived quite so well. So the jury's still out on the Patrinia. We're probably going to grow this another year and see how it does for us next year. But for right now, although it has a good bloom, the foliage is not looking great. Well, there is another good candidate for an autumn garden, which we actually have planted in our children's garden, and I'm going to show you that right now. Well, the plant that I wanted to show you in the children's garden is actually one of those summer flowering bulbs that we planted this spring, and it's the tuberose. Now, if you just kind of look at the plant, it kind of reminds me of, say, a yucca plant. We've got the spiky foliage, and we also have a bloom up on a tall spike and a kind of a creamy colored flowers. Now, these flowers are just beginning to open, and they'll bloom from the bottom to the top of the stem. So we've got a bloom time of anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks this fall. So this is a very nice addition to a fall garden. Now, as we look down at the foliage, if I look down at the base of this, you can actually see what look like some smaller plants coming up. Now, tuberose are interesting bulbs because a large bulb will actually divide into smaller bulbs during the summer, and that's what we've got going on here. Now, if we'll replant this next spring, it'll need another season of growth. However, by the next spring, we should be able to get more flowers off of this bulb. Now, to dig these, because we won't be able to leave them in the ground, we'll want to wait until that first frost turns all the foliage brown and then dig them up. Then what you want to do is cut the brown foliage off just above the bulb and put it in an area that has very good air circulation and is kind of warm. Let those dry for about 2 weeks and then store them in, say, some dry peat moss or sawdust for the winter. And then when it warms up next spring, you can plant them back out. Now, not only are tuberoses good for an autumn garden, they're also very good for, say, a white garden because they have white flowers. They also have a wonderful scent, so they're very good for a scented garden. And they were grown extensively during the Victorian era, so you could also use them in an heirloom garden, but also you could use them as a cut flower because they are a very good cut flower. So anyway, a tuberose is a wonderful flower for any kind of garden that you want to plant it in.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.